In Australia, education is highly valued and is seen as something that is obtainable to all Australians. But by looking at different sociological perspectives, we can see that there are still obstacles that stand in the way of everyone receiving equal education. Despite the overall increased participation of Australians in educational institutions, there are still three very major issues that can inhibit certain individuals to obtain the education they deserve. These barriers have been defined as class, gender, and ethnicity. We will look at these issues in the video and identify how they affect Australians. There are still reduced educational opportunities available for those from a lower social class background. Although policies have been introduced to try and increase the educational opportunities available to those from a lower socio-economic status backgrounds, there has been no real change for the past 2 decades. For every 10 students from a lower socio-economic status background who have the potential to be attending university, only 6 are attending. Students from a higher socio-economic status are 3 times more likely to be attending university. This difference is not down to their inability, but to social attitudes. There is a tendency to keep individuals in their place in society. If you come from a working class background, then you're more likely to stay in this category. Students can be labelled, and this can influence their attitude towards education because they think they are treated differently according to their socio-economic status. If your teacher thinks that you are not equipped to succeed, then as a student you may lose a feeling of wanting to access higher education.
Okay. Hey, I'm Dean Matter. I'm the president down at the UTS Students Association. I'm also involved in the New South Wales Education Action Network and groups. What we are doing today is we're campaigning for education primarily on accessibility. People from low SES, so low social economic status, or people from minority groups suffer accessibility issues when we're under a fee deregulation model. People who earn less per dollar have to pay the still expected the same amount for an education quality to still pay more when they leave that education. It is unacceptable. We're fighting against Pine and fee deregulation, and we're here to make sure that education is accessible, free, and for everyone.
Education has also seen a consistent disparity among genders. Previous to the 1980s, the underachievement of girls compared to boys was the norm, but this phenomenon has reversed and girls are now seen to be dominating across many subjects when compared to boys. Although this reverse has created a greater equality in educational institutions, there is still a gap of achievement in terms of job success, where men are paid more and rise to higher positions over women, despite the surge of excellence in education by girls. From the year 2000, the average girl was outperforming the average boy in more subjects. In higher education, women participate in higher numbers than men, but are underrepresented in higher degree research programs. There are significant differences in educational achievement when comparing various ethnicities in education. In Australia, the focus on Indigenous Australians in education is the biggest disparity. Indigenous Australians are underrepresented in education. This could be attributed to many factors, such as the lack of significance to their Indigenous culture. Therefore, there may be no point for them to achieve an education that Indigenous people do not value. Similarly to social class, labelling is also an issue, where teachers can often disregard an Indigenous child's ability due to their ethnicity or social class status. In 2006, Indigenous students had a 23% lower success rate than non-Indigenous students in university. Overall, it is obvious when considering class, gender and ethnicity as 3 key issues that there are barriers in access to education, that there is still an unfair disparity in education in Australia. Although at first glance education in Australia could seem as something that is rightfully obtained by all individuals, there is still a lack of opportunity for some due to factors beyond their control.